Okay guys, so what I want to do here is I posted the Vamana Assault gameplay on YouTube yesterday, so I kind of want to go over the build that I used for that because it's a real fun build. The idea came from Glorious Smite, if you know of him on YouTube. He used the oboe one time and I was like, well, that looks fun because Vamana scales better with attack speed than damage or anything. That's mostly because of his passive, and we'll get into that here real quick. And I'm a solo laner. I know there aren't a lot of solo laners out there, but his passive is a sleeping giant, so mostly, actually all his physical protection is converted, not all, but his physical protection is converted to physical power. 20% of it. So whenever you're Vamana, you hate building magical defense. Like, you hope the enemy mage is AFK half the time because the physical protection is what's conferred into physical power during the giant. The colossal fury, the big baby, if you will. So he has a dash. It's a good dash, has a knockup if you hit the enemy. Armored Umbrella is pretty much his guaranteed damage. The Umbrella Rang's a skill shot. You throw it out, it comes back, you can double tap them with it. It provides a slow. So, definitely a great kit. He's one of the solo laners that I think that you can carry a game with. As a matter of fact, I've carried games with him. So it's definitely possible. Now, let's get into the items here. Clear that. For all warriors, there are 3 starter items that you can use, and those starter items are Bluestone, Death Toll, or Marker of the Vanguard, especially in the solo lane. Marker of the Vanguard's really good because it gives you the physical protection that converts over. I mean, it's not a lot. Only 20% is going to be converted over, so 2 physical damage coming from that. I like Bluestone on Vamana to start. Vamana's a safe god. You don't really need the protection. It gives you 15 physical power and 100 mana, and Vamana's kind of mana hungry. And I mean, the only way I would change this is if you were jungling Vamana for some reason, or supporting Vamana for some reason. Jungle, you're going to go Bomba. Support, you're going to go Watcher Skiff. But yeah, I start Bluestone. Mark of the Vanguard's a good option. I would not do Death Toll. I don't build Vamana as a auto attack god, although it is possible, and you're going to give him attack speed by the end of this. So let's go ahead and actually put the Bluestone down. Another thing, whenever I start, I get 4 health pots. I go up to the speed buff, I place a ward. When I return. Once you reach the speed buff, sorry, I have a slight cold. Once you reach the speed buff, you're about 50 seconds till the game starts, especially with Vamana. If you're using a different god, it's going to be about 40 to 45 seconds. Vamana is the second fastest god in the game, right behind Mercury. Mercury has 1 movement speed faster than Vamana. So he gets up there at about 50 seconds. You can place that ward back in your base by 45 seconds to go, and that's plenty of time. Sometimes I hang around just so the ward lasts longer. I normally pick up 2 mana pots, and that's just in case the jungler can't go over to drop your blue. I always prefer my jungler to drop my blue because I'm getting plenty of farm in the solo lane, and the jungler should rely on the jungle to get their experience. They should be the one clearing it. I just believe it's better for your jungler to clear your blue for you. You go pick it up, you go continue to farm. You can drop it, and if you see jungle open, go take it. You getting the jungle is better than the enemy getting the jungle. And you're probably going to be the one to get the fire elementals in the first 10 minutes. Now, whenever I do this build, I am at the end of Season 3. I'm on console. Season 4 starts next week. I will update the build if need be, but I don't see Vamana's build changing too much. So you're going to pick up the potions, and another thing you're going to get, and I'm actually going to put this in core, is the Tier 1 boots. That's just right off the start. You're going to eventually go into full warrior Taba. Another option for boots, you're not going to ninja unless you want to go crazy auto attack build, which I don't know why you would want to do that. The other option is reinforced, and that's because it gives you the 20% crowd control reduction plus health, a little bit of physical power, and a passive is great. The passive used to be better. Reinforced Greaves doesn't really benefit you as much as Warrior Taba, especially if you want to carry. And Vamana, I think your abilities do more. So my next item is already situational. If you're in the solo lane, if I'm against a physical and they have a physical jungler, I'm going to breastplate. Simple. Gives you that cooldown, gives you everything that you pretty much need. Now, if I'm against a magical and they have a physical jungler, I'm probably going highly urgent. Highly urgent gives you the 35 physical protection, 35 magical protection. This item is useless if you don't get kills or assist. But you're probably going to get a lot of assists. You're going to be in most of the team fights. If it's a super passive game, this item's pretty much useless. It won't give you anything. But after 10 stacks, you get plus 3 magical, plus 3 physical on each. Although that's an additional 30 physical protection and magical protection for the price. You can't beat that. Plus 250 mana and health. It's great. So that's another option. If you're going against a physical, you're probably going against a warrior in solo lane. If they have Al Kwang jungle, I'll consider this, but I'm probably going breastplate because Al Kwang is more late game. I'm not normally too worried about an Al Kwang gank unless I'm already low, but I stock up on health pots. I normally have them ticking all the time, so I'm normally pretty safe in the solo lane. Now, if I'm going against the 2 physical, I'm going to build breastplate, and I'm going to build highly urgent right after. If up to this point of the game you think the game's going to be super passive, you can change it. Instead of going highly urgent, you can go Mantle of Discord. Gives you an additional 15% cooldown reduction, which will put your cooldown reduction at 35%. You probably won't do any more cooldown reduction after that. Gives you the 60 physical and magical. And that's just something that you like. Very rarely do I go pure magical defense just because of Vamana's passive. But if I am going against somebody doing a lot, like if I'm going against a Chunga or someone like that, I'm going Pestilence. If I'm going against a Cabrakan hits pretty damn hard, I'm going Bulwark. You know, you just gotta do what you gotta do. Build depends on your opponent in the solo lane. Now, after I get these 3 items online, I'm honestly looking for Mantle, like I said before, or a Spirit Robe. I like Mantle. I know a lot of pros don't like Mantle because of the cost, but I think that passive is too valuable and keeps you and sometimes teammates alive. I like Mantle. I'm going Mantle 90% of the time in my games. This next item is pretty much Flare. This is who's doing the most damage to me. If it's a physical, like Rom or Jingwei that's doing a lot of crits, I'm going with the Hide of the Nemean Line. The high needed line's pretty great, I think. What it does is 90 physical protection, 200 mana, very valuable. Reflects 20% of all basic attack damage to the attacker as physical damage. If you're going against an Erlong Shen in a Mercury in the jungle, or an Erlong Shen pretty much period, you might want to consider first building this, because that is auto attack based god, and he's just going to be autoing away unless he pins you. And this is going to be doing 20% of all his basic attack damage back to him. That's especially important because of his buff. His buff buffs his auto attacks, so why would you not consider this? Now, if it's a defensive, if you're facing a defensive team, build Frostbound. Let's just get that out of the way now. If nobody is hurting you, build Frostbound. It gives you 25 physical power, gives you 300 health, and everybody you hit, the passive, has their movement speed reduced by 30% and their attack speed reduced by 15% for 1.25 seconds, you know? Pretty good. I like it. It procs your ult. It's pretty great. I used to build it. 4th item, no questions asked. I've learned a little since then. But defense is more important than offense, especially in the solo lane and guardian position. And I've went away from it. But if nobody's hurting you, hurt them more. Give them this. If it's magical, Bulwark, Pestilence. If they heal, Pestilence. If they don't heal, Bulwark. Fairly simple. If it's a physical that has a lot of attack speed that you're noticing being the problem, or if you're against an Erlong Shen, a Mercury, an Artemis, whoever attacks fast, the Guardian Mail is pretty great. It's only 30 physical protection, gives you 350 health, but when you're hit by that basic attack, there's a 30% chance to slow your enemy's movement and speed and attack speed by 30% for 2 seconds. And that's pretty big. That's escapability for you and your team if you're taking the hits and having a bad team fight. As a solo laner, you're going to be the one to peel. You're going to be the one in the battle. You're in like ranks of sacrifice, it's support, solo, jungle, mid, carry. You want to keep your carry alive no matter what. You want to keep your mid alive pretty much no matter what. Your jungle, you prefer them alive, but not as valuable late game as your carry or your mid. Solo laner, you're there to be annoying. Support, you're there to keep your team alive. Now, let's just say for fun that it was, they're both hurting you. Go back into this tree. This tree can be your best friend. Just get this. At this point, you're selling this. I'll keep it there. And my favorite last time to go. Now, if you are getting your ass whooped and people are hurting you, don't do this. Oboe. Oboe is great. Oboe procs on your ult. Oboe gives you that attack speed where you're really going to hit more. It gives you every 4th basic attack that you hit. Vamana basic attacks fast will create a chain lightning damaging the target up to 4 nearby enemies. The target and up to 4 nearby enemies for 30 damage plus 50% of your total basic attack power. Your total basic attack power is 20% of your physical damage protection. So you're hitting pretty hard with this. It's hilarious to watch it go off in Big Baby, and it does a lot of damage to the creeps, the towers, anything around you. I highly recommend it. It's lots of fun, and it gives you that carry potential I was talking about earlier. Definitely recommend it. Frostbound is an option instead of this. If you think I'm crazy, I would not knock it till I try it. A couple other items I like that have potential here. especially next season. I know next season is going to be different. Hasten Fatalis. I don't like it this season because this gives you more attack speed. This just keeps you on them, but you have, like I said, the second highest base movement speed in the game. You have a dash. It's going to catch up to anyone. You don't need to hit people with Fatalis to keep up with them. Fatalis in the next season, which we get Wednesday next week, I think, it's going to give you 15 penetration on top of the Fatalis 30% attack speed and the passive. I think Fatalis is going to potentially overtake Oboe next season for my Vamana build, but I won't know until we get there. Another option, I know I'm going in defensive, but it's going to be another offensive option that I used to build a lot. The price was not worth it at the time. I did this in my early days. Stone Cutting Sword gives you movement speed, gives you 50 physical power, and the melee basic attacks decrease the enemy physical protections by 10 for 3 stacks. And it was a lot of fun. Heartseekers Season 4 might be an option. I doubt it. Kinda really doubt it. But that was a lot of fun. I'm thinking next season it's going to be between Oboe and Hasten Fatalis for my damage item. And I'm probably sticking to Mark of the Vanguard. Or, sorry, Bluestone Pendant. Mark of the Vanguard as my second option. So yeah, that's my Vamana build. And if you are watching this live, thanks for watching it. If you're watching it on YouTube, once again, thanks for watching it. Be sure to check me out whenever I stream sometime. It's twitch.tv/TheRealBShrek. I'll put a link in the description down below. And we just like to chill and have fun. Alright, so now that I am actually